Deep in the heart of an enchanted forest, a world of magic and wonder exists. This is a place where the impossible becomes the everyday. A realm where the mundane laws of nature bow to the whimsy of magic. Here, animals can converse as eloquently as any human, exchanging tales and whispering secrets to each other in a language that flows as freely as the forest's bubbling brooks. This enchanted forest is a kingdom where the trees are more than silent sentinels. They sway and dance to the rhythm of the wind, their leaves rustling like applause. Their gnarled roots and branches twist and twirl as if frozen in a lively jig. With every sunrise, their branches stretch towards the sky in a slow ballet, welcoming the day with open arms. In this magical place, time seems to have a different rhythm. The hours, minutes, and seconds are not dictated by the ticking of a clock, but by the blooming of flowers, the rustling of leaves, and the songs of the birds. The forest's inhabitants live in a state of tranquil harmony, each creature playing its unique role in the grand symphony of life. From the tiniest beetle to the grandest stag, every resident of the forest is part of a delicate balance. They live in unison, their lives intertwined in a beautiful tapestry of interdependence. The bees pollinate the flowers, the birds spread the seeds, and the wolves keep the deer population in check. It's a world where magic is real and dreams come to life, where every creature, big and small, has its part to play in the grand scheme of things. But all was not as peaceful as it seemed, for a shadow was about to fall upon this magical land. A ripple of unease was about to disturb the tranquil waters of the enchanted forest, and its inhabitants could only guess at the challenges they would soon face. In the darkest corner of the enchanted forest, a sinister force stirred. A wicked sorcerer, draped in shadows and mystery, had made this secluded corner his home, his fortress of solitude. His name was whispered in hushed tones, a name that brought chills to the bravest of hearts. Moros, the Dark Enchanter. Moros wasn't always a menace. Once upon a time, he was a gifted magician, a beacon of light and hope. However, his insatiable hunger for power and control led him down a path of darkness. Consumed by his ambition, Moros became a figure of dread, an embodiment of the very thing he once fought against. His plan was as sinister as it was ambitious. He sought to cast a dark spell that would rob the enchanted forest of its magic. No longer would the trees hum with the symphony of enchantment, nor would the creatures play under the luminescent glow of the magical moonlight. Instead, the forest would be plunged into an everlasting night, its magic siphoned off to fuel Moros's growing power. He was ready to face any challenge, to overcome any obstacle. His desire for power was a flame that could not be extinguished. But the most alarming part of his plan was its secrecy. The innocent inhabitants of the enchanted forest were oblivious to the approaching storm. They lived their lives in blissful ignorance, unaware of the shadow that was slowly creeping over their home. The playful laughter and joyful songs echoed through the forest, a stark contrast to the sinister plotting happening in its darkest corner. The enchanted forest was a place of wonder and magic, a sanctuary for all that was pure and good. But now it stood on the brink of a dark era. The inhabitants of the enchanted forest didn't know yet, but their world was about to change dramatically. In times of darkness, heroes are born, and in our enchanted forest, a small creature was about to rise. Let's turn our focus to a corner of the forest, where the sun's rays filter through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on a small, sprightly figure. This is Skippy, a squirrel like no other. Skippy may be small in stature, but he is mighty in spirit. His heart pounds with courage, and his eyes gleam with an intelligence that outshines the brightest star in the night sky. Skippy isn't your ordinary forest dweller. He doesn't spend his days in mindless frolic or aimless wandering. Instead, he's always on a mission, always planning, always thinking. His mind is a whirl of ideas, a maze of ingenious plans and clever strategies. He's the mastermind of the forest, the squirrel with a plan. But Skippy's intelligence is not his only strength. His courage is as mighty as a lion's roar. He's the kind of squirrel who would face a wolf if it meant protecting his home. His paws may be small, but they are strong, and his heart is full of bravery that belies his small size. Skippy loves his home, the enchanted forest, with every fiber of his being. He loves the whispering leaves, the singing birds, the babbling brooks, and the cool shade of the towering trees. He loves the scent of the wildflowers, the rustle of the wind, the dance of the fireflies. The forest is his home, his haven, his heart. But Skippy's world was changing. The enchanted forest was under threat, and the peace and harmony that once reigned were now shrouded in fear and uncertainty. The forest needed a hero, someone to stand up, someone to fight, someone to protect it from the looming darkness. Skippy didn't know it yet, but he was the enchanted forest's only hope. With a heart full of courage, our little hero embarked on a great quest. Skippy, the sprightly squirrel from the enchanted forest, was on a mission to stop the malevolent sorcerer who threatened his home. His journey, however, was no walk in the park. As Skippy ventured further into the unknown, the challenges grew. He navigated through treacherous terrains, climbed towering mountains, and trudged through stormy weather. Each step was a test of his strength, his courage, and his will. But Skippy was not deterred. Skippy wasn't alone in his journey, though. Along the way, he made some unexpected. Then there was Betty, the brave bunny, who taught him the value of courage when faced with fear. And let's not forget Stanley, the steadfast snail, who showed him that no matter how slow the progress, what mattered was never giving up. The journey was not just about overcoming physical challenges, it was also a test of Skippy's character, to a brave hero. But the journey was far from over. The biggest challenge still lay ahead. The sorcerer was still at large, and the enchanted forest was still in peril. But Skippy was ready. He had faced the wilderness, made lifelong friends, and learned valuable lessons. The quest was just beginning, and Skippy was ready. The little squirrel was on a big mission, and nothing could stand in his way. At the heart of the dark corner, Skippy faced the wicked sorcerer in a battle of wills. This was the moment, the climax, the final confrontation between our brave squirrel and the menacing sorcerer. It was a battle not of physical prowess, but of courage, intelligence, and sheer determination.